What's up, everybody? Eric here with another EWE Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Before we get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about the movie or about my takes. Some people don't like my take, so let me know in the comments down below. Alright, but yeah, I'm sorry that this video is a day late. I went to an AEW show on Wednesday and my voice was just not working with me yesterday, so sorry about that. Doing the review now, should be out Saturday. Alright, so again, title of the film is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is a computer animated superhero film released on June 2nd, 2023. And I didn't check this information, but Wikipedia told me that there's 3 directors: Joaquin Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, Justin K. Thompson. The cast includes, and sorry, I can't include everyone for this, just because the cast is just so big. It's an animated film, and a lot of people got a lot of minutes. I'm just gonna go with the top 6 in my opinion. Shameik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, Brian Tyree Henry, Luna Lauren Velez, Jason Schwartzman, and Oscar Isaac. Like I said, there's a lot of people in this, but I just, for the sake of this review, just wanted to bring it down a little bit. Alright, with the runtime of 140 minutes, it is long. And I watched this in Dolby format. Does this have a post-credit scene, you might ask? No, it does not. Once the credits start rolling, you can actually leave. There's actually a reason for this. And I'll talk about it right now, actually. This movie has a cliffhanger ending, so that's not really a spoiler because they actually talked about that before the movie came out. I just didn't know about it, so letting you guys know, yeah, cliffhanger ending. And the plot for this film is there's a bunch of group of Spider-Men that actually go out trying to make sure that there's nothing going wrong with the time stream. I guess the Spider-Verse canon is what they're calling it. It's very weird, and there's a couple of Spider-Men that go around doing, a bunch of them if you've seen the trailer, and it's all led by Miguel O'Hara, Oscar Isaac's character, Spider-Man 2099. And like I said, I'm not going into spoilers, spoiler-free, but he's the one that's leading this, and they go through time, through the Spider-Verse, trying to make sure that they repair any issues that might occur. And a lot of these issues can occur because of stuff that happened in the first movie. But yeah. We have this happening, and eventually Miles ends up getting sucked into this area, so now he's all over the place, and we see Miles go on this crazy adventure. And then at the end, not in the end, but Miles then has to realize, well, is he just going to let things happen the way they're supposed to, or is he going to be the one that makes a big change in the world? So we'll see what happens there. Again, spoiler-free, that's the basic plot, and we see the cameos in this are insane. So let's actually move on to my thoughts on the movie. So the first thing is that I think the plot starts off a bit too slow. It has a cool start of it, but then it slows down for I think a bit too long, and I'm just like, oh, come on, you guys can go a little bit faster than this. And it felt like a lot of table setting for the first hour. Kind of wish they would have had a little bit more there. Not that it was a problem, but with the first movie, I think it worked a little bit more since it was okay, that was the first movie. We first learned about all this stuff. But now going to the second movie, it's I wish you guys didn't go so slow. I kind of wish it would have been, let's go running a little bit, especially when this movie is so long. And the fact that they're making it into, like I said, this has a cliffhanger ending. And I know the directors are saying oh, it's like Empire Strikes Back. And it's no, this and the next one are a part 1, part 2. Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi are not a part 1, part 2 to me. It feels like they both have their separate endings and they actually end. Just because something happens in Empire doesn't mean that it changed, it wasn't a self-contained story. It was. However, this one, it did not feel like that. It feels more susceptible to Fast X, where it's no, there's an ending here, and then once we get to the next movie, it's going to continue right off of that. That's how it felt like for me. Still not the bad thing, it's just, it was for a long movie, it's alright guys. You could have trimmed some of the fat off this movie. Story-wise, and I really enjoyed the story. It actually has some stuff to talk about the story in the good section. However, if you step back, and I think this is a problem with a lot of movies that try to do multiverse type stories, there's a lot of plot holes. And this one in particular because, and this is the hard thing about doing a spoiler-free review, they do have connections to the MCU in this movie, and it's just oh, but then the MCU has its own time force thing. It's I'm there's some issues here, guys. I'm sorry. It's there's some plot holes when you actually stand back and look at it for a second, because you're trying to connect so many universes. You gotta be, and I know Sony's doing its own thing, but because of Tom Holland's Spider-Man existing in both universes, it's you kind of screw yourself over a little bit in that in that section. So for me, there are some plot holes that kind of were a little bit annoying. Not anything that ruins the movie. Don't think about it that way. But if you step back and, like me, who have to like think about this sometimes critically, it's like, yeah, it's a problem. But it's not a big deal in terms of enjoyment. You're still gonna enjoy this film. And you guys already know me with movie lengths. I'm just like, why are you making a movie over 2 hours? For me, it's always like, if you're gonna make a movie over 2 hours, make it that it needs to be over 2 hours. Since we still haven't seen the sequel, I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I don't see the reason why this needed to be over 2 hours. It really didn't. But we'll see with the sequel what they do. So let's move on now to the good, because this movie has a lot of good in it. First off, Gwen getting more of her own story, I thought was really good. She wasn't just part of Miles' story. She actually has her own story in this movie, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a really good thing to put in there. And then seeing Miles having to balance his life out. Because remember, in the last movie, he was Spider-Man, but he was still at the beginning of becoming Spider-Man. Now he's a full-fledged Spider-Man, and seeing him deal with, I have to do school, I have to do stuff with my parents and all that. It's very different than Peter, because as much as Aunt May is like a great legal guardian, Aunt May is not hard on Peter as Miles' parents are hard on him. It's very different. Aunt May kind of like already knows, no, Peter, you got your stuff together. I don't really have to worry about you too much. I know you have some stuff going on, but I trust you. While Miles, there's just like, something's going on with this kid we don't know. It's like, it's very different, and actually enjoyed seeing those differences. I think Miles is a great character. Something else that's really great, the cameos in this movie are insane. I don't even know. I feel like most of the budget was like, how many Spider-Man can we just put into this movie? And what's cool is that they didn't make the Spider-Man look like they belong in this universe. They were just like, no, whatever animation they used, I want that in this movie. It doesn't matter which Spider-Man, they'll be in there. And I'm trying not to spoil anything, because even though you've seen the trailer and the show a lot, trust me, what's actually in there is even more crazy than what we see in the trailers. It's insane. So I really enjoyed that aspect. The cameos are insane. Probably the most I've ever seen in a superhero movie. Okay, so as much as I crapped on it, there's plot holes in the story is still excellent. It's still a spectacle to behold. The animation style works. I feel with Spider-Man, he's a character where you can't necessarily do as the most amazing stuff with them in live action, because live action means like you gotta like take some disbelief in it. While in animation, it's like, no, you can do whatever you want. This is animation. It doesn't really matter. He can take more hits. He can do more damage. It's all good. It's animation. So I think that really helped here. We saw Miles doing some like crazy stunts, and it's like, you can't do that in live action. It's just not possible. And I do feel like this version of Miles is probably the best version of Miles I've seen in a long time, not counting comic book versions. There's nothing wrong to say about like, but with Miles, I've always felt like he was a character that actually got me back in the comics. It was like a good 6 to 8 years. I kind of stopped reading comics for a little bit, but then I started reading when Miles Morales first came out, and I was just like, you know what? I like this character. I like his struggle, the things that happen in his story. And I feel like this might be from that original incarnation of Miles, because as Marvel likes to do, they reset some of his stuff, and I thought they kind of messed up resetting some of his stuff. Here, I like how they're starting off. He still hasn't had any tragedy, like anything bad, besides the Prowler dying, but it's like, and if you saw the comics, it was way crazier in the comics of what happened to him. But yeah, I like this incarnation of him. I like how we're seeing different versions of like the universes. I can't wait for the third part to come out, the next movie to come out. Like I said, my one issue is I wish this one would have had an ending, and then at the end of this one, they would have found a way to set up the next one instead of the next one just being a continuation of this story, because that's really what this one is. It's just a continuation for the next one. But that's not a problem. It's just when you think about, I want to watch the Spider-Man movies, it's one of those things where it's like, do I have to watch the second one and then watch the third one? Sometimes, like if you're trying to see the whole story, I feel like it's one of those you have to watch them both. Where I'll even say with like the Star Wars ones, I never feel like you need to watch Empire in order to watch Jedi afterwards. Like if you've already seen them once, you're good to go. It's not one of those like, but I should really watch the other one to remember what happened. It's like, this might be one of those things where it's like, it's a part 1 and part 2, like Harry Potter. All right. Well, let's now move on to my, one other thing. Like I said, this is a great version of Miles because he gets in a situation too where he's put into deciding, hey, all these other Spider-Men, they've kind of already realized like, we can't change destiny. Like, destiny is what it is. While this version's still like, no, I believe I can change all this. I am Spider-Man. I can change this. And I think that's what makes this character so endearing. It's like, he's seen all this stuff and he's like, no, we can't believe that that everything's just set in stone. We can make the change. And I like that about this character. I thought that was a good version of him, where I'm like, that's why I think this is the best version of Miles. I believe in this character, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I am very hyped up for the next movie. I'm kind of mad that we have to wait till next March to see it, but at the same time, it's fine. It was a great movie. The movie's going to make a ton of money, hopefully. The one hard thing is because it's animation, you're never sure how it's going to do. Animated movies generally don't do as well when they're like superhero films. So yeah, let's hope this does well, but we already know we're going to need the sequel. So let's now move on to my score. If you would have asked me when I came out of the movie, I would have said 9 out of 10 for amazing. However, once I came back and thought about it and plot holes, I'm also, Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel character, so it's always one of those like, Eric, don't throw in your bias, don't throw in your bias, don't throw in your bias. I came back and think about it, I'm like, it's more of an 8 out of 10, but I'm like, it's still a great movie. So 8 out of 10, great. I definitely recommend people go watch this. I think they're going to enjoy what they put together here. Like I said, it's not a big deal that has plot holes. Most movies have plot holes, just live with them. However, when it's a movie that's longer, you can see the plot holes a little bit more, and it's like, all right, like you could have like trimmed some stuff down from it, but the cameos are just too amazing. It's like, I get it. So I definitely recommend you go watch this. The next movie I'll be watching, guys, is Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I have zero hope for that movie, so we might come in here next week and I'm going to do another 2 out of 10 for all I know. I think the only movie I've given that to right now is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, but I mean, if it's Transformers, we all know how those can go. They can be a lot of fun, but they can also be very dumb, so let's hope that one's a lot of fun. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts. The Transformers Rise of the Beast review probably won't be out until Saturday of next week. I think my showing is like at 7 p.m. on Thursday. And I'll be honest, there's very little, knowing how these Transformers movie, that means it's probably like a 2-hour movie. I'm not getting it out until probably close to like 9:30. And yeah, I probably won't get that review done until like the following day. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Do you think I'm being too harsh by giving it an 8 out of 10? Do you think it should be a higher score? Well, I would love to hear your thoughts, and talk to you soon.